Welcome to this second session in this What's New series. In the first session, I took a look at support for feature service domain constraints. I demonstrated how individual subtypes can have their own sets of distinct attribute domain constraints. I pointed out that subtype fields themselves are implemented as coded value domains. In this session, we'll take a more in-depth look at working with subtypes. I'll discuss subtypes in feature services, both from formal subtypes defined in the geodatabase, as well as faux subtypes generated on the fly from thematic mapping. I'll demonstrate new subtype user interface changes, I'll perform some subtype editing, and I'll discuss subtypes in local feature classes. Let's get started. Subtypes in ArcGIS Web Feature Services can be formal subtypes defined in the geodatabase, or they can be the ad hoc result of map layers published with variable symbology. ArcGIS for AutoCAD doesn't distinguish between faux or formal subtype feature classes. Publishing maps with faux subtypes is a convenient way to generate the subtype editing experience with any existing dataset without having to formally define subtypes. I can benefit from the clarity of subtype editing even if my data hasn't been defined with formal subtypes in the source geodatabase. I can see here in the GIS Contents pane that the Soils feature service in this drawing has many subtypes. These are not actual subtypes, but are rather faux subtypes generated because the map was symbolized based on the soil description. Although this makes a pretty map, it unnecessarily complicates my editing of the feature service in ArcGIS for AutoCAD. To avoid the unwanted faux subtypes, I should publish a different map for editing than for display purposes. I will use a single symbol for all soil features in the feature layer and rely on adding the soil type as a simple attribute rather than as a subtype in ArcGIS for AutoCAD. I need to be deliberate when publishing maps as ArcGIS feature services and consider how they will be edited in the context of subtypes. Subtype pull-down filters have been added to the ribbon, the table, and the attribute dialog to isolate exactly the features I want to work with in those interfaces. The selection tools on the ribbon also filter the current subtype. The All Types option is available when I want to consider all the features in a feature class regardless of their subtype. Here in the Attributes dialog, again I see the current selection set filtered by subtype. As mentioned earlier, I also see the appropriate subtype domains applied to the attributes. The GIS Contents window has an expandable tree view to organize the feature classes along with their subtypes. Many of the new AutoList routines we will look at in the last session of this series that work with feature classes have subtype options to perform the necessary actions. The ArcGIS for AutoCAD tool palette includes options with the shortcut subtype names, making it easy to place new features of the appropriate subtype on the correct AutoCAD layer. In previous versions, the only way to change a feature's subtype was to move that entity from its current AutoCAD layer to its new feature class subtype layer by changing its AutoCAD layer. Here, I can change the subtype of this polygon from a large type polygon to a small type polygon. The AutoCAD layer is still the primary differentiator for subtype membership. In this release, the subtype field has been exposed as a coded value domain that I can edit. Now I can change the subtype of a given feature by simply changing this field value with the pull-down list. You will notice when I change the subtype value, the entity also changes to the appropriate AutoCAD layer. The only way to create subtypes in local feature classes in the ArcGIS for AutoCAD 350 release is to extract those feature classes from feature services. Once I have extracted the services as a local feature class, I can use the subtypes just like I would for the feature service. I can reuse the schema of the feature classes and subtypes in other drawings by saving this drawing as a template file or by importing the schema into another drawing using the Import Schema tool available on the ribbon. In summary, I discussed feature service subtypes, both from formal subtypes and faux subtypes from thematic mapping. I took a look at the new subtype user interface changes and performed some subtype editing with these new tools. I created some local feature classes with subtypes and domain constraints by extracting feature services that were defined with subtypes. Be sure to look for the final session in this series at this same location to explore the new AutoList tools provided by ArcGIS for AutoCAD 350, as well as other demos and training resources.